Hi guys, Black Wolf here, and today I'm going to read part 19 of The False Prince. So here we go. Back in our rooms that night, Ronan went straight to bed. Tobias was at his desk reading another book. I lay on my bed, staring at the window. Tucked beneath my pillow was a spool of thread, a needle, and a small pair of sewing shears. I did have a tear in a shirt from the horse ride, but I wasn't going to repair it. When I had enough privacy, I planned to cut the shirt up and sew a few pockets into the linings of my clothes. The vest I wore in the daytime had only one useless pocket on the outside. I needed a way to hide items inside my clothes where nobody would think to look. After verifying the sewing items were well hidden, I sat up and stared at the window near my bed. I pulled a garland from my vest pocket, stolen from Connor's pocket after dinner, and absent-mindedly let it roll over my knuckles. When it reached my pinky finger, I carried it with my thumb back to my forefinger. "Nice trick," Tobias said. "It helps me think." "What are you thinking about?" "Ways to get you to stop talking to me." Tobias was in phase. "Well, I still have candlelight in rooms. You can't possibly see outside. What are you staring at?" "Nothing." "This is what you do during lessons as well. Are you lost in your daydreams? Dreaming of what my life might have been if I had made other decisions?" Tobias set his book down flat on the table. "Like what? If I stayed with my family? Then you'd have become a drunken musician like your father was." "Probably, but I wouldn't be here." I turned back to him. "Are you content with your choices you've made?" "I never made any choices," Tobias said. "After my parents died, I was told to live with my grandmother, so I did. After she died, I was told to go to the orphanage, so I did. Then I was told to come here, so I did. And then Connor tells you what you'll do as king. You will?" "No." Tobias took a deep breath, picked up his book again, and then in a calmer voice added, "I have a plan. I know what I'll do after I'm crowned." I went back to looking out the window. "I hope it works for you." "It will. I've worked out every detail." "Stop staring at that window!" "Why? Does it matter to you?" "Because it's pointless when I know you can't see outside. Perhaps you're using it as a mirror to admire yourself." Then Tobias looked down at his papers and suddenly gathered them all in a pile. "I can't see your papers," I said tiredly. "You're being foolish." Nevertheless, Tobias took his papers and threw them in the fire. He blew out his candle and said, "I'm going to bed now." It was a long time until he fell asleep. I had a hard time outlasting him, but I was determined to get outside Farthenwood tonight. I yanked the window open and crept onto the narrow ledge directly beneath it. There was little room for error, but it was a calm night, and there were plenty of places to grip on the walls. I'd be fine. A neighing sound in the pasture caught my attention first. Connor's wild mare had returned home. That was good news for me. It would diminish any sting in Connor's anger toward me for having lost her. It was good news for Cregan as well. Time off from his sentence of service to Connor. It was amazing how much I could learn about Farthenwood from the exterior. With a fair amount of climbing and using the ledges, I could see into many of the windows. I only saw a few people still awake this late at night, and there were windows in nearly every room. The more favored servants' quarters were on the main floor in the corners of the house. A few of them had their windows covered in curtains. The rooms with curtain windows likely belonged to Mogan and other female servants, but I never tried to see into them. The idea of being caught staring into a room of a sleeping woman was not a pleasant one. They'd marked me as Peeping Tom, with no idea that it was the farthest thought from my mind. In the center of the main floor was a living space such as Connor's office. The library, the music room, a dance hall, and a dining room. The kitchen and other servant areas were in the back. Bedrooms were on the upper floor. Connor's room was on the opposite side of the house from ours. There were other rooms between them, a few of which interested me. I wasn't sure yet how to get onto the top floor of Farthenwood, which was only a third of the area of the other floors. The nursery schoolroom where Rhoda and I took our lessons was up there, but I wasn't sure of what else. Likely there were apartments for our governess and possibly more bedrooms. I might even eventually find my way up to that level, but I wasn't trying too hard. It didn't seem that anything interesting was up there. I shinnied down a drain pipe to reach solid ground. Always a nice feeling, and set about exploring the grounds. I passed through the stables, the archery courtyard, a wide vegetable garden, and then another carefully tended flower garden. The thought nagged at me again to just run, but I knew I wouldn't dare. The assurance of that confirmed my worst suspicions about myself, that deep inside I really was a coward. The crescent moon had shifted in the sky before I decided to return to my bedroom, where Connor so smugly believed he held his prisoner. It was dark enough that I had to feel for the edges of the window to find a small gap to open it again. but there was no gap. The window was shut tight. I pressed on it, but it was either locked or stuck beyond my ability to open. I wondered what I should do, tap on the window and get Ronan and Tobias to let me in? They'd certainly tell Maud or Connor, and I'd face a terrific punishment for that. As it turned out, I didn't have a decision to make. Tobias sat up in bed and looked directly at me. Then a wicked smile spread across his face. He arched his eyebrows as if asking what I intended to do about this problem. I held up both hands and pointed to the window. He shook his head slowly, then rolled over and lay back down again. I looked at Ronan, but if he was awake, I couldn't tell. He wasn't facing me and wasn't moving, except for a slow rise and fall of his body. I wondered if he was a part of Tobias's trick. Ronan and I had agreed to sabotage Tobias. Maybe Ronan also made an agreement with Tobias to sabotage me. If so, it would leave him free of both of us' threats. It would be a clever plan, and I almost regretted that I had not thought of it. I leaned my head against the stone wall of Rothenhood and balanced my feet on the narrow ledge. It wouldn't be long before the morning servants would awaken to begin preparing the house for a daytime routine. I was running out of time. So guys, I know it was a short chapter, because some of these chapters are really long, so it's like 10 minutes, and I can't make these videos long because then it'll say like it was rejected for being too long or something. So since this was a short chapter, I'm going to say the next chapter is going to be about as long as this one, maybe shorter, but please look up look up The False Prince Part 20. It will be there because I care about you guys. So anyway, thank you, goodbye.